I know this is the marathon podcast, but the marathon was over 22 hours ago. He's still head to toe in his marathon.
You told us to do this. I texted you, can we do a post-marathon podcast so we have an excuse today to only talk about running?
Yeah, so if you don't run, you just flip the channel and go watch what's Logan
Go ahead, there we go. Walk right in front of the cameras, right in front of them.
Right, unbelievable.
All right, here we go. Welcome back to another episode of Jeff FM. We are on location in New York City. We just ran the New York City Marathon, and we have the fastest celebrity runner that competed in this marathon. Just fastest celebrity runner. That's what the article was published about.
I didn't write the headline, but I'm happy to accept that headline.
Man, I'm so proud of you, Casey. I really am, because I know that you really wanted to crush your time from your physical prime when you were younger and in your, back in the golden years. And now look at you. How old are you?
42.
42, and you're in now your new physical prime.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to interject because my goal was, I didn't achieve my goal.
Okay, so
there's
the
some nuance
official
there.
time, your official time was, I could say it, right? It's public?
Yeah, it's like I don't know if that's official, but that's what the chip time. That's what's on the website.
Yeah. So I have the same situation. I have a 3:55 time, which is nothing to brag about. I'll get into.
I disagree. It's a fantastic time, but continue.
I'll get into my excuses later on in the episode.
I'm excited to hear them.
But yeah, man, biggest and toughest marathon in the world. They say 50,000 people, and you've done
like 53,000 yesterday. Yeah.
You've done how many of these New York City marathons?
Yeah, yesterday was 7 in New York for me. I think yesterday was my 25th marathon overall. But New York's the best. Like, I don't do New York.
I'm getting a call right now from this hater, Mike. Man,
you might want to know because
Yo,
Mike,
we are live on the podcast.
Mike, I didn't do it, man. I didn't make it.
From what I understand, you did make it. I heard there's some discrepancies between the Strava time and the actual.
But Mike, like, I don't accept that. You know what I mean? I take the official time, and I'll take it right on the chin. Even though I don't like it, I like my watch time better. What's it called in boxing when you dispute the
built-in excuses?
Yeah,
appeal. I was gonna appeal.
Mike, I'm not appealing this. Like, I'll take the L right on the chin, and I'll run it back again. Show me the starting line. Let's go. I got 26.2 more ready at any time.
Damn.
Case, I think we've learned over the past few years, you gotta trust your own research. You gotta trust your own devices in this world. And I think your time on that Strava is a much more dependable time than what the government, what big corporation is telling you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right. Well, you're verified on Strava, so maybe you can request an appeal through Strava.
Yeah, no,
you're a better man than me, though, because I am about to post my Strava time. You posted the official time.
I posted the official time, and I will own that time.
All right, Mike, we got to let you go because we got a lot of big business to talk about. All right, later.
The goal was to break 3 hours, which I didn't do. My fastest marathon ever that I've ever run, out of those 25, I ran when I was, I want to say 29 years old, maybe 30 years old. How old are you now, Joe?
I'm 33.
30. I think I was 29 or 30, which was 100 years ago, and I ran it in 302, 301, something like that. So yesterday was my fastest ever, and there's something that feels good about being like old as fuck, like 42, 3 kids, like all this bullshit in my life, and you can still make your old fucked up body work like better than it did then.
Yeah, and especially you had an accident where you smashed up your femur.
Yeah, this is all metal on the right side.
And the doctor said you'll never run again?
Yeah, that's when I started running. So I've done 25 marathons, 4 Ironmans, 150.
Oh, that's when you started?
Yeah.
When the doctor was like, you can't run? And now you're like...
It's like having a teacher tell you you're going to end up in jail. No offense.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'll show you. No offense. You know?
Yeah, I had bronchitis leading up to the marathon, of course. I've had everything thrown at me for this race, all the running gods. That's what we say. The running gods throw these obstacles at us, and it's up to us to power through them. And the bronchitis, I was nervous about it. I was extremely nervous before the run. I was like, should I pull out? The doctor said, don't do it. You're going to ruin your lungs. You're going to have bronchitis for 6 months. But I said, am I going to die? And he was like, you could. And I was like,
really?
All right, I'll fucking die. No, he didn't say it. I wanted him to say that you were going to die.
Dude, what the fuck? Okay.
But once I started out the gate, I was like, I had a moment where like, I was nervous the whole time. I watched this marathon growing up with my family.
Have you ever done New York City?
No. No, and I never thought I would. I was watching these people on TV when I was a kid, and I was like, these people are insane. 26 miles, just outright sprinting, which, I didn't do. I tried to do that. I thought I was from Kenya for the first 2 miles. I forgot. I'm from Staten Island, which is where the race starts, just like our lives, Cody and I. Staten Island, it's a big deal. We got to get that done. It feels great. There's no better feeling than accomplishing that insanely hard feat. And, I can't explain it. You just got to go out there and do it. And you really inspire people to run, and I think that's really dope. And I try to do that. I know Cody he's out there with
Cody crushed it yesterday.
Rub it in my face. Go ahead. That was my competition, because I know you're an insane runner. You're built for running. You have a time that even if I train my ass off, I don't think I'll get anywhere close. I don't understand how that makes sense, but Look,
I was talking with Logan and Mike last week about marathoning, and what I said, they're like, are you going to beat Cody? Are you going to beat? And I was like, the thing about marathoning is the most beautiful thing. You're competing with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, I believe you want to beat Cody, but whatever. Like, you're competing with your fucking self. Like, you won. Like, marathons are a binary. You finish, which means you did it or you didn't, and you did, and no one gives a fuck about your time.
Yeah.
You did it. And that's a huge deal. It's a huge deal.
I kind of differ to that statement because, according to your YouTube video, you had this diagram, and I'm in the shame category.
Okay. That was for me. In the video, I prefaced that by saying, these are for my times. Everybody has their own time. My buddy Hunter over there's time annihilated my time, but I can't compare myself to him. You're competing with yourself. You were victorious yesterday. Look at that medal.
Yeah, it's a completely different thing, those distance runs like that 26 miles. Like, I was on track to do 3:30, 3:40, and I'm getting calls. I called my mom at mile 17 because I got lightheaded.
Oh, no.
And I was like, I might pass out here, and that'd be the worst situation is if I pass out and fall down.
On Queensboro.
I didn't know where I was. Everybody's talking about, we're in Brooklyn now, we're in Queens, we're in the Bronx. I was just looking straight down and just trying to get through this thing.
Were people screaming out your name?
Yeah.
Were you getting love on the course?
Yeah, but I almost wish that I didn't, because I had to stop and walk a couple times, and every time you stopped to walk, I would see a fan with a sign, and then I just felt like they wanted to tear their sign up.
So this year is my fastest ever. Last year was my worst ever marathon in New York, and I thought I was fit.
We studied the videos.
And last year was heartbreaking. And I remember turning into Central Park and hearing someone yell, "Why are you walking?" And it was like 49% rage. Like, what do you mean? You're just fucking standing there, my guy. I just ran 24 miles.
Yeah.
I'm just taking a little breather. And then like 51% just shame. And I was like, they're right.
Yeah.
Why am I walking? I didn't sign up to walk 26 miles.
Yeah.
And then you just start picking up the knees.
Yeah, you're right. It's just
None of that this year, though.
No, this year, what got into you?
Last year was just humiliating. Because, like, look, in years, I haven't run fast in 10 years or 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, last time I ran in New York City, before last year was 2017, I did, like, a 3:40. And it was fun. I was high-fiving people. I made videos about it.
Yeah.
And it was jovial. And, like, I gave it, I worked hard, but I wasn't trying to do great. I knew that I was just going to have a great day. And 3:40 came in a way that wasn't super challenging. It was just a hard exertion of effort. Last year, I thought I was fit. And I gave it 100%, and I didn't think I was going to finish.
What'd you run last year?
3:45, something like that. But
Damn.
3:45, but I was on target for 3 even at mile 13.
Yeah.
Meaning that's how hard I crashed. Like, I was doing 15-minute miles. I was doing 6-minute miles at the start, and I was doing 15-minute miles.
You were walking?
I was done. I couldn't move.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was going to finish. My buddy that I was running with, who's done 2:58 in New York City, very fast runner. He and I were pacing each other, and at mile 11, he's like, I'm going home. And he went off the course, got on a fucking city bike, and rode his bike home and went to bed.
Now, if that were you, would you get on that city bike and ride the course?
I actually was thinking about doing that yesterday at mile 17.
Yeah, and then you would post the time of like
I was
15-minute miles, and then all of a sudden he's banging out 4 on the city bike.
I was literally debating, like, oh, damn, should I just cheat or should I cut across the avenues to the park right now?
But that's the thing. See, you were motivated by humiliation, you said. The whole thing with
Shame.
this running, you're competing with yourself. Your time doesn't really matter to anybody else.
Nobody else.
It means so much to you that you'll kill yourself out there.
Sure.
We will kill ourselves to beat our old times.
Yeah, but the thing is, I kind of like...
But you would cheat that. You would cheat that to get a better time, and you'd only be cheating yourself.
It's kind of my own fault because like I got into like different phases of my life, like more favoring skydiving, not as training as much, and then I keep my fastest time with 4:15 in the LA marathon.
That's fast.
Yeah, excuses. Okay,
And,
you know, I devote my time to
and then my
podcasting, so I
slowest
can't run
marathon, I
fast.
think it was-
Casey has a family. He's got a metal femur in his leg, and he's over here putting up times like the Ethiopians. There's no time for excuses right now. You know,
But I progressed because my Miami marathon this year was 5 hours and 20 minutes.
What do you do for 5 hours? Like, there are people that were finishing, I don't know, the greatest experience as a spectator, show up at the finish line at like 8 at night. You're seeing people who have been running for 7 or 8 hours. Like, I only had to run for 3 hours. You had to run for 4 hours.
yeah.
When you see people that have been running, they're working harder than the Ethiopians.
Yeah.
I think those people that take 8 hours, people can struggle with their legs, somebody in a wheelchair can only move 1 foot. Those people are putting more out there than the first place finishers. And when you see those people, like, that is like,
Yeah, I was almost tearing up.
oh yeah.
Through a lot of times throughout the race. I was so nervous before all of it, but then you get into it, and I had a moment where I was like, holy shit, I'm doing it. This is it. We're here. And then you come down off that Verrazano, and you hear the crowd roaring in Brooklyn, and it's just like, this is the sickest shit.
It's like,
I'm
oh my-
alive. I'm doing this shit, you know?
And we, Hunter right there, like the speed racer, we were talking earlier, it's like, so I've done marathons all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Great races, run Boston, like run a bunch of big races, but New York City, I think, is one of the only races where it's like more. I think 90%, 95% of the people out there are doing it because it was like a box on their list.
Yeah.
Like, in my life, I'm going to do this. Not run a marathon, not do this time. In my life, I'm going to run the New York City Marathon. And when you take that and times it by 52,000 people, that energy is like the most palpable energy that you feel. Like, how about at the beginning where you're like stacked in like sardines, and you
Yeah.
can hear people's heart
Traffic
beatings.
jam.
Like, everybody's fired up. You hear a cannon go off, and you start like getting pushed up to the starting line, and you start jogging.
Frank Sinatra
Frank
is
Sinatra. You look
playing.
to the right off the Verrazano, and the FDNY boat is like spraying blue and red water. The helicopters are
Yeah, the
right
helicopters.
there.
We went on
You're
the curb.
freaking out.
We ran on the curb, like you see. So
Just there's so many people. People are screaming.
I just get too excited. I think I'm more of like a 5K, 10K runner, maybe half marathon. I don't know. I
Half
told
marathon's
myself
the best distance.
I told myself after the LA marathon that I wasn't going to do it anymore because I lost toenails, and I was like, cool, I got it, bucket list, checked it off. But the New York City Marathon is the main bucket
the
list
bucket
thing
list.
that you have to
It's the
do.
one.
I don't know how to explain it to people. If you're out there thinking about doing a race, do it. It's like, stop thinking, just sign up to
There's
it.
nothing like it.
Look, we've done a lot of things in life. You got, like, I had goals. I wanted to get a gold subscriber plaque, like hit 1 million subs or something, and like win a Streamy award or something. But there's no better feeling than pushing yourself to you. Your body's telling you, stop this shit. You're gonna fucking die, and you push through that, and you accomplish that. It's just the best. The best feeling is, I think, like, accomplishment. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's a secret to happiness.
Yeah, and the contagiousness of it in a group, like everyone, whether you're like the fat girl that's taken like 7 hours in 1,000,000 years, she didn't think she'd be able to do it, or you're like the fit guy who's just not a runner, or you're like my buddy led a blind runner yesterday and did sub 4. My buddy Hella was a blind guide, and the blind guy did it in under 4 hours. No offense. Like, it doesn't matter who you are.
I'm in the shame category for sure.
But it's like we're all there for one reason.
I gotta stop posting that I go for runs, you know, because if I don't post that I like on my Instagram out training and stuff, people be like, "Oh, great job, you didn't even train."
But
Fuck
it doesn't, like, no one cares. No one cares. Like, to any of those,
My father gave me a lot of shit for
besides your dad, no one cares. Like, to all those guys that are really good, if any of them, like, my time would have been Hunter's worst day ever.
it. Yeah.
Like, and for me, it was like a culmination of 15 years of training, and that's like,
But how many subscribers does Hunter have?
that's
you
true.
know,
That's true. Well, he's not doing bad.
Sorry, Hunter, I know nothing, but I'm just saying, I'm just fucking around. I'm like, there's kind of like a thing when, like, with the crossover boxing now, you know,
Sure.
you compete against people that have to do the same amount. They have to spend the same amount of time on training, or they have to spend the same amount of time on work, and they can't train as much as an athlete. So that's why it works out like, okay, these non-fighters can fight other non-fighters, and that makes sense.
I love the YouTube boxing thing. I wish they were better. I wish they were just, the fights were actually better. Like those 20 seconds when Logan was beating the shit out of him. Like,
Yeah.
I wish all 5 rounds were like that. It's like just a lot of, like, I'll watch it for those 20 seconds. It's magical.
Yeah.
And like KSI throwing those huge haymakers were awesome. But then he was kind of gassed and those fights kind of dwindle off. Like, but I love it because to me, it's like, I think that, I'm really taking a turn here away from our marathon conversation, but like I think Jake uniquely has done a flawless job of picking perfect people to fight.
Yeah, they
Because
fight. They want to fight.
Yeah, and the people give him shit. And they're like, "Why don't you fight a boxer?" And it's like he's only done 5 matches or 6 matches, like 6 5. Like, give the kid a chance. He's picking people that like, do I think he's gonna beat him? Like, do I think he can actually beat Silva? I don't know. Let's see what happens.
Silva was a really good fight.
Silva was a great fight. It was a great matchup. And Silva was a total gentleman about it, and Jake was respectful towards him, which I appreciated.
I really like that fight.
That was a good fight.
And people don't know boxers, really. You know, you want to see him fight people that you know, personalities. That's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
And if they're a little, you know, newer, you can follow things. If you watch 2, like, flyweights go at it, they're just so technical and so quick.
Sure.
You don't even see what's going on.
This is like a fight. They're not boxing. They're fighting.
Yeah, exactly.
Although I do think Logan Paul has found his calling as a professional wrestler.
I know.
Holy shit, is he good. I've been watching wrestling since I was a kid.
Yeah.
NWO days, man. Logan is fucking brilliant in the ring. He's like part gymnast. He can do his flips and he sells. Like when the other guys are doing that's what you call it, right? Like when somebody tries to body slam you and you let them body slam you and then you act her, it's called a sell.
Yeah. They overdo it.
No, Logan does it perfectly.
Yeah.
Like you got to make your opponent look good.
Yeah.
And he does that so well. And then he's hurting himself every match. He's giving it everything he's got. He's flying high. Like, no, that is like the best. I'm so psyched that he's taken that turn in his career.
Yeah, same.
Because
After
holy shit, is
after
he
that
good at
last
that.
fight, when he said like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go back to WWE," I was like, "Dope," you know, because he
Yeah.
went through a lot of shit dealing with Dylan.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Yeah, and there's
I
just
like
so,
seeing him beat up Dylan, but I didn't like all that other shit.
yeah, there's so much to risk for him because he's got $1 billion company now, you know, and if you
You said
do
it's singular. I don't think that's accurate.
a multi-billion, yeah, so now you're gonna risk the humiliation. You know, like I said,
Yeah,
you're motivated
why?
by humiliation. That's what people want to see. You know, that's why people are so interested in that because you know somebody's gonna get humiliated.
Yeah, I
That's
guess
what
so.
people love. You know,
What is wrong with people? It's like that great Bill Burr stand-up where he talks about how women don't show up to support the WNBA, but they'll show up to support like the Kardashians where they're just yelling at each other.
yeah.
And it's such a perfect sort of like encapsulation of what we as humans will turn to. Like, how is Us Weekly still a thing? Why do we care about that shit? There's important things happening in the world. Why is gossip and shame and... We're getting deep now. We're getting deep.
Yeah, no, go on.
So I was talking to Phil DeFranco last night.
Ooh,
Great guy. Phil DeFranco said to me, I will run the New York City Marathon 2024. And he wanted me to announce that on this podcast. He's
So-
making a promise to every one of his fans that he is going to run the New York City Marathon in 2024, and he believes and he knows in his heart that he can do it.
could he wager something if he doesn't do it? Like, I
I
guess
mean,
get
I
a face
think
tat or
yeah,
something?
face tat or his house or like, you know, put up one of his kids for adoption or something. It should be at that level.
Yeah, risk. Yeah, a kid for sure.
Yeah.
I had a wager where if I didn't run sub 4, I had to shave my head. Now I know the official chip time says 4 flat,
From the excuses.
but the watch time, you know, the watch time. Now I was when I started. You get special privileges out there. Like they let you start in the front with the pros. That you're like
Yeah, I know a guy.
they shoot the gun. Your name. It's not even a bib with numbers. It
Yeah,
says
I
Casey
got a
on it.
friend, Yeah.
So you know what's
All you need to do if you want that.
That's probably like 50 minutes that you shaved
All
off right
you
there.
need is like you just make about a half dozen really viral, flattering videos for the New York City Marathon. Then you're in their good graces. Before
That's
we move
true.
on from the Phil DeFranco thing, I just wanted to read you exactly what he said. He said, "Congratulations on the race," and I said, "Next year you should join, Phil. Greatest running race in the world." And I'm going to quote his response just to back up what I was saying before. He said, "Not a fucking chance, LOL." So all that other stuff that I was saying was how I interpreted what he really meant when he said "not a chance."
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I do think a face tattoo is probably the most appropriate thing for him if he doesn't do it.
Where do you get that he's going to run
I don't,
from
I'm
that?
thinking if he sees this. that maybe this will motivate him.
Phil, look, we're gonna get you to do it. You know, I know it seems insane right now.
Phil.
You may have never run over 3 miles in your life.
He's so fit. You look great, Phil.
He just did lose a bunch of weight, so he probably is running more than 3 miles.
He's yoked too. We got to get him out there. New York City Marathon.
I know it's a scary number,
Phil,
that 26.
Get you one of these, Phil.
All right, real quick. Today's episode is sponsored by SeatGeek. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events every single day on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more. I'm pumped right now. We got the Jonas Brothers on tour right now. We got Drake, Beyonce, Travis Scott. Yeah! It's lit! And SeatGeek puts all the tickets across the web in one place to make sure you're getting a good deal. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10. So look for the green dots. Green means good. Red means... And every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee, and SeatGeek is the only site that lets you return your tickets ahead of the event with swaps. And you know I came through for you guys. Use my code Jeff for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code Jeff. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app. Thank you, SeatGeek, for sponsoring the show. Now let's get back on with it. How was your experience, Cody?
Yeah, Cody, talk us through it. Have you changed since the marathon?
No.
Is this you're coming straight from the finish line, which was yesterday, to this podcast, because you look ready to run right now.
I am ready to run. This is the same exact outfit that I wore, that I'm still in from last night. And I was trying to get Jeff to run today, but he wasn't.
Did you run today?
I wanted to because you inspired me. I looked at the Instagram. I was like, yo, Casey's doing 3 miles right now. And then he texted me a picture of like some yellow
I sent you guys both a bottle of piss.
I'm super dehydrated.
I pissed in a
It was an amber.
In a water bottle.
It looked the color of this couch.
It looked darker than apple juice. And I looked it up. What does this mean? And it said it means you're extremely dehydrated. Go to the hospital. Yeah. So I'm fucked right now. If my brain's not working, it's because I have low brain fluid.
Good. You know, I got to deal with a lot of people that I knew. Good overcast. It's really fun. A lot of people. Good crowd. I like running through all the neighborhoods in New York City because you see all the different minorities, Caucasian people, and cultures, and
you saw
drums.
Caucasian people out there? You saw Caucasian people out there?
Yeah.
It was cool to see
the mix.
All the nations at war that were out there with their flags, but you got a nice video of the two people. You had an Israeli flag and a
my buddy Kosha Dills is his name. He's like a Jewish rapper. He's great, and he is like super just positive piece. Like he puts out a lot of stuff on Instagram about what's going on in the conflict right now, but he does it in a way that's like it's just peaceful and kind and lovely.
Yeah, we need more stuff like that.
We need more stuff like that. It was great. No, it was just like also like the support, the comedy of the signs. There's like a dude handing out joints in Brooklyn. He just had a sign that said free weed. He had a handful of pre-rolled joints, and people were like saw like an old dude go over to him. I saw it on Instagram, and he like runs with the guy and like hands him a joint.
Yeah.
And like there was a dude, what was the other video I saw, who had 2 beers with that were like shotgunned, where they already had the holes in them and stuff, and he was just standing like this till somebody came up to him and he gave it to a guy. And
did you see the duck running?
Yeah, the duck was running. I didn't see the duck. I saw it online.
I didn't see the duck. We ripped.
I think the duck
the shot
paces
because I
a
didn't have
little
enough
bit
footage.
slower than us. The duck does like a 5.5, 6 hour marathon, but there's a duck that runs it. How does that duck get a bib every year? Those bibs are hard to get.
Yeah, it's extremely hard to get in that race. As we tell everybody, you should definitely go out and sign up to the New York City Marathon. It's like, I saw on the news today, they said it's harder to get into than an Ivy League school. That's a little ridiculous.
I've never been to an Ivy League school, but I have been in the New York City Marathon 7 times. So
okay, so
based on my experience, that doesn't feel accurate.
That doesn't make sense, right?
But it is hard, which is a bummer. But whatever, just you know,
figure it out.
Yeah, there's like a thing where it's like, how's it work on you? Like volunteer a bunch of times. Yeah, so if you volunteer 8 times to run 8 and then volunteer 1. Yeah. The governing body does like all these races, so you do a bunch of 5Ks and you volunteer at one, you hand out water, then they give you a bit. There's like, you know, it's not impossible. You just got to put work in, raise a bunch of money for charities.
I was running when I was like hit that wall, and I saw a guy that had a shirt on. He's like, "What is your why? Remember your why," or something. And did you ever say that in a video? Because I feel like you said that before.
I mean, probably something. I think that's like a
cheesy thing to say.
No, I don't think it's a cheesy thing to say. I think it's like it's if you're in tune with why you do what you do, like if your actions have purpose, I think it makes you a more effective human being.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that kind of maybe float through life without ever identifying or appreciating why they do anything they do. And I think if you can attach a purpose to everything you do, you're just a happier, more fulfilled person. And when you're out there running 26 miles for no reason,
Your brain's telling you stop. Your
you
body's
get all
telling you
kinds
stop.
of shit. There's all kinds of shit going on.
Your mind turns on
What'd
you.
you say, Hunter, in the elevator? The dark place?
The dark place.
Yeah, when you're just like, you're everything saying stop. Every instinct that like God gave you or Darwin gave you, depending on your beliefs, that makes you stop to preserve your own well-being. All of those alarms, like the dashboard of your car with like the check engine light, every light is on. Like a lot of people, it was mile 17 coming. There's
Yeah.
this huge bridge in the middle of the race at mile 16, like the worst place. This huge bridge that's just uphill forever. And I saw everybody's check engine lights like bing, bing, bing.
That's
bing.
where I had to walk.
Yeah, that's where I crashed too.
That's what killed me last year. I walked over that. I remember last year stopping on the bridge, like I was gonna pass out. I put my hand on the bridge, and then I just like looked down, and I had pulled down my pants, and I was just taking a piss. There was like thousands of people, and I just couldn't, like I had no control of what was going on. And then I just walked up the whole bridge last year, and that's why like this year I was like no chance. This year I was like 650 up the bridge.
Yeah, how
610 down
are
the
you
bridge.
running that fast up those hills? How do you get? I don't know.
You just.
Let's have
For
it-
me,
you
it
have a
was just, I
coach. It's
trained
'cause
it.
you have a
I
coach.
trained that bridge a million times. I was like, this bridge won't break me. What
Yeah.
will break me is Fifth Avenue, and it broke me. And I trained Fifth Avenue week in and week out. I was like, I can't, and I knew I wouldn't be able to overcome it, and I didn't. And
Well,
it
you
killed me.
what? Not you ran a 7.
Yeah, but
20
that's
mile?
what cost me
Oh,
the 2 minutes I needed. Was that uphill?
well,
And I
you
knew
got
it.
a year to regret that, and that'll be haunting you for a year.
It's been haunting me for like 15 years, but I'm not afraid. I'm gonna go right
Next
back
year
at
we're
it.
going for it again.
I want to run the New York City Marathon every year until I can no longer run or I die.
I
It
like
is my
that.
favorite thing on a level that is like inexplicable. It is so hard to explain what that is like. Like it is the humanity of that, like the collective humanity of it in the city that I love. Like all of the virtues of New York City that I love. And New York's fucked up. There's a lot wrong with the city, but that's neither here nor there. Everything that's right about this city that has the people who live here suffer through living here. You pay like a fortune to live in a small apartment. I could have a huge house if I lived in fucking Cleveland, but instead I live in this tiny apartment. Like the streets are dirty. I stepped over trash to come here. It fucking stinks out there. Like you suffer through that because New York has these magical virtues, and those virtues are distilled in that marathon. It is like the pure brilliance of this city condensed down in one little race.
Yeah.
And it is just like mainlining straight black tar, pure New York City heroin is what that race is like. It is everything I fucking love and have committed my life to figure out how to survive and live in this city. All distilled, all right there. It is New York City concentrate.
You do such a good job at capturing that New York personality too. The Side Talk guys,
They're the best.
yeah, they do a great
New
job.
York
at-
Nico, I don't know if you follow him on social.
Yeah,
New York
yeah.
Nico, he
And-
captures the city.
I was talking to the Side Talk guys, and they said something that stuck with me. They were like, we were looking for what to do for our videos and stuff like that, and you know, a lot of people have characters, like it's their own personality, but when we shoot, like New York is the personality, New York is the character, and that's a cool way to look at it, and you do really good with that too. But yeah, talking about like your motivation to get into running, for a doctor to tell you like you're never going to run again, and then you're like, that's going to push me to, you know, now look at where you're at. This guy found running in prison, because before that we tried everything to get happy. We tried selling drugs, taking drugs,
Yeah, I found
making
running
money.
like the last year before getting out. And then I remember you did a marathon in 2016. So I was like, when I got out, I was like, I'm going to do a marathon now. And then I did the LA marathon in 2020. And then during COVID, I got into swimming and cycling. And then I did an Ironman. And then I just started doing a whole bunch of marathons. Fort Lauderdale, Miami. I did New York twice.
You did a 146 full distance Ironman.
Yep.
That's
14 hours and 5 minutes in Cozumel,
that's a
Mexico.
good time. That's a good time.
Yeah, that was one of my slow marathons too. It was like 5 hours and 30 minutes.
you did a marathon because I did a marathon. I did an Ironman because you did an Ironman. Look at that. Now that's what friends are for. You know, push each other to do shit like this, not to do drugs. Oh, you don't want to smoke
And then
that
I swam
crack?
from
What do you?
Alcatraz. Remember? I did
Yeah,
the swim
You-
from
he
Alcatraz
did.
this
He did the
year.
escape from Alcatraz.
Have you done that, Casey?
No, I haven't done that. I haven't done that.
Yeah, it's a
I
hard
hate.
swim.
That's why I stopped doing triathlons. I hate swimming.
Same.
The only thing I like is to run. I just like to run.
I hate the turning the head movement to get air constantly.
Also, you can't look.
It's
I get
annoying.
claustrophobic. I mean, I like to. I've swam for a number of years,
Yeah.
but
I wish I had gills. You
Wish I
know,
had
then I
gills.
wouldn't mind because you wouldn't have to.
Kevin Costner in Waterworld, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Running's so accessible. Like whenever you travel, you just throw shoes in your backpack, and you can just go
Yeah,
out
My
and run.
nephew popped his knee. He's got fluid in his knee now. I think he's in the emergency room
When did this happen?
yesterday.
In the marathon.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Well, he finished.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Did anyone
Okay.
die?
I hope not.
I saw people that looked like they were dead.
Yeah,
Like
that was
it-
the scariest thing. So for me, it was mile 21 coming out of the Bronx. I remember so vivid, and it was one of the scariest moments in the whole race. I saw the first person stop and start walking, and I was like, "Oh no!"
That was at mile what?
21.
Oh, because you were up there with the
'Cause
pros.
I started with people. Everyone was faster than me.
Yeah.
I was the slowest runner trying to do 3 hours. Everybody I was up with was much, much, much faster. So I was just being passed the whole race, and everybody looking much better than me, which is good motivation. But the first time I saw someone peel off, and then like a minute later, second person, 30 seconds later, third person, 15 seconds later, fourth person. And then by the time you get to like Central Park, every second's like dink, dink,
Just
dink,
dropping like flies.
dropping. And then even turning into the chute, like the final 500 feet, like in my head, I was like, I might not make this. And I slowed down just to make sure I could get across the finish line because I was a little fucked up the finish line. But I saw people going down at the finish line just stopping, just stop putting their hands down. And it was like, oh, man. It's scary.
Yeah.
Because it just reminds you of your own
What time did you
fallibility.
start?
What time did I wake up? What time did I start?
When did they shoot the gun off for you? What heat were you in?
Nine.
Nine?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you started like an hour and a half ahead of us. But I remember I would call my parents and I would like check because they're tracking. And they're like, Casey finished in 3:01. He broke his record. And I was all pumped up. And I was like, fuck. But also I was like, fuck, he fucking crushed me. Like maybe Casey would sprain an ankle and I could beat him or something, you know? I'm like worried about Cody now. And I'm like, where's Cody at? What pace is he at? And Kyle's like, oh, you're fucking crushing him. He's running like 10-minute miles. And I'm like, no fucking way. Cody Co is doing that? And he's like, no, bad Cody, evil Cody. Because we got evil Cody and we have good Cody Co. And then he was like, he's running 10 minutes. And then I was like, where's Cody Co at? He's like, he's fucking 3 miles ahead of you. And I was like, fuck. And then I picked it up.
What did good Cody come in at?
7 minutes ahead of me. He got me by, I would be pissed off because
He trained hard though.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
fit, man.
yeah, he put in the proper training. Yeah.
353.
And I would be kind of like, 'cause I'm very competitive and I would be like upset with myself, but I didn't get the proper training in and I know that I gave it everything I had. I left everything out there and
I'd say after your legs, your lungs are the most important thing. So running with bronchitis is pretty crazy.
yeah, like 3 miles in, I was like, the bronchitis is gone. All you got to do is go out and run a marathon
There it is.
if you get sick. But then it came back. I was just coughing up and spitting, and people run by. What the fuck are you doing? I'm running over here.
How long do we have to wear these for? Is there a rule?
This was your idea to.
I just
put
thought it'd
these
be
on.
funny. I
No,
thought
but
it'd
I
be
see
funny.
people walking
We could
around
take- we
outside.
could take
around
them
the
off.
neighborhood.
Our participation medals. I'm walking around with a gold. Somebody asked me, they're like, "Yo, did you
Did
win
you
the
win?
Olympics?"
I told them I
This-
got a replica on Canal Street
They should sell these on Canal Street.
just to say I did it.
Yeah, it's a participation medal, but it means a lot. We worked hard for these
I would say it's
participation
fun
medals.
on race day, on marathon day, to wear it for the rest of the day because everywhere you go, people are so nice to you.
What do you do with these medals now? After do you just have a drawer that you stuff them in?
Yeah.
I just hang them on a hanger in my closet.
I used to collect trophies when I used to race like triathlons and win.
Yeah.
But the trophies are like the same people that make the trophies for like high school wrestling tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like a grown ass man, like collecting these trophies. And when my girlfriend became my wife, she's like, you're an adult. Like, you don't keep your trophies anymore. It's not okay. And I was
Yeah,
like,
you
she's
trophy
fucking
hoarder.
Right. She's so right.
All right, real quick, this video is brought to you by Manscaped.com, the global men's lifestyle brand that is revolutionizing the landscape of men's grooming. When you've got the confidence of more than 9 million men worldwide, it's pretty clear that Manscaped has mastered the art of producing superior men's grooming and hygiene tools for your family jewels. Once again, they're at the forefront, showing their ongoing dominance in providing top-notch quality and unmatched value as we jump into their latest grooming and hygiene bundle, the Performance Package 5.0, featuring their all-new The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra Electric Trimmer. With the Lawnmower 5.0, they've taken grooming precision to a whole nother level with their next-gen dual skin-safe blade heads, now accompanied by an upgraded trimmer blade and interchangeable foil blade for enhanced performance. First, the upgraded trimmer blade features longer, wider, and rounder teeth that cut through hair with ease. Tough on hair, yet incredibly gentle on the skin. It's a precision powerhouse. Its mission is to leave you with that irresistibly smooth, bare finish as it moves softly across your skin, snatching even the finest hairs, but not your nuts. You're not going to snip that skin on your nuts. Think of it as a grooming tag team match. The trimmer blade enters the ring with its clean cut moves, and the foil blade swoops in there for the grand finale of unbeatable smoothness. Head over to manscaped.com to get your hands on the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra today. When you use my promo code Jeff's Barbershop, you'll get 20% off plus free international shipping plus 2 free gifts. That's 20% off plus free shipping and 2 free gifts with promo code Jeff's Barbershop at manscaped.com. Trust me when you say this, fellas, your balls will thank you. All right, thank you, Manscaped, for sponsoring the show. Now let's get back on with it. It's done. We don't have another New York City Marathon for another year. So what next?
I'm training. Training started this morning.
I feel like if you train that much, you'll get injured.
Well,
you should
we'll
just take
see.
a break for like up until
What am I going to do with my free time?
do videos.
I guess I could get back to work.
Are you back posting a lot? I see.
Not a lot. I need to, and I'm excited about it. I will say that, like, I think just as it's an excuse and it's laziness. It's not a legitimate excuse, but I definitely was like, certainly the last couple months, I was like, I don't really want to focus on the marathon. And I just have been using it as an excuse not to make videos. But it's a bullshit excuse because I finished running at like 7 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I've got nothing to do between like 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. I just kind of sit and watch movies and clean my office and put up shelves. And
it's almost like a trap
bullshit.
running because you could get that sense of accomplishment to where you feel like you don't need to do actual real work. And running is almost like a mindless activity where you could just go out and, yeah, it's tough and you have to get through it, but you're just
there's
thinking
a work-life balance that matters.
Get through it.
With running.
Like I do jiu-jitsu and I stopped. I put it on pause so I didn't get injured for the race. And jiu-jitsu is like you're in school and you're trying to pace yourself and you're like completely gassed out. So that is a little tougher. But in the morning when I'm like waking up and trying to get my brain going, just a run is perfect. And then yeah, I fucking ran today. I'm good. I don't have to do a video.
You feel,
you know. But if I look at all the people that you probably inspired to go out there and run and save themselves from a life of drugs and chasing highs from the wrong places, motivate yourself by fear of humiliation. That is
there's
the key.
some comedian, great comedian, I was watching on like a podcast recently, and he was talking about how he's an addict and then was a food addict, and he identified like the addiction, and whether it was to eat food or do drugs, was that he wanted to just feel different. He wanted to change his physical state, is how he articulated it. And I think about that a lot because I have a wildly addictive personality. I come from like alcoholism, drug addiction runs in my family.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had any propensity or real attraction towards drugs or alcohol. But like the running thing for me is like, it's a bona fide addiction. If I don't run in the morning, I'm angry all day. I need it. I depend on it. I look forward to it. I obsess. I fetishize it. And I think that there's a world where like you can sublimate that kind of personality, that kind of person, into something really positive. Like, I mean, the kind of running we do is like a little bit unnecessary. But if you can be that guy who runs 3 or 4 miles 3 or 4 times a week, like that's an insurance policy against aging, against breaking. Like that will keep you
Heart
alive.
attacks.
Yeah, for so. You know, my dad is like, he was never into fitness, and he was a fat guy until he got really sick in his early 40s, and then he had to get healthy or he was going to die, and then he's had cancer 3 times, and you know, now he's in his early 70s, and like in the last 5 years, he's really focused on his fitness and his health. But when you're 68, your options are kind of like there's no version of waking up when you're 68 being like, I'm going to do it and becoming a hardcore runner in those years. Maybe a doctor would disagree with me. I just think like you have 68 years of momentum that is against you, that you're fighting against. But if you can start it at our age and just maintain that, like what a beautiful, wonderful thing.
Yeah, my father's 69 and he rides his bike like 30, 40 miles a day.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's unreal.
Yeah, it keeps him going. It keeps him
Yeah,
excited.
what that does for
I
you.
got him a Garmin watch for Christmas, and he's addicted to Strava. It's his only form of social media, and honestly, that's the only one you need. I know you don't like it because you had like stalker situations.
Yeah, I think Strava is unbelievable. It's the best platform. Like if you are a runner, a fitness guy, there's nothing better than Strava. I think the Nike one is garbage. I don't believe there's a single engineer working on that. It's antiquated. It doesn't work well. Garmin is fine, but it's just kind of for you. It's not as much of a social network. Garmin,
and sometimes they mess up with the chip time, and but
I just tell me about it.
well, we're gonna put in the dispute.
But Strava is the
appeal.
best. I just had a kind of a unique situation, which is that I live in a small city. I run the same route every day, and yeah, it was like people could figure out, even if I didn't post the route, they'd figure out what times I was running and stuff like that. And it got a
So
little
running
bit weird.
next to you, want to interview you?
Yeah. Like what I do.
This is my time to.
But I share my runs for the same reason that your dad shares on Strava. Like there's something about it, even if it's no one's paying attention, the idea that other people might care that you did it.
Yeah.
To get that like thumbs up, that double tap. There's something motivating.
It's an
about
addiction
that.
too.
Kudos.
Kudos. He's
Yeah.
addicted to kudos
I'm addicted
fully.
to kudos.
But I think it's a positive thing. Like they named that mechanism instead of a like or heart, they named it kudos because they want you to feel supported because you that day, you didn't have to, but you put on your shoes and you got out there.
Well, that's why I signed up for the New York City Marathon because I wanted the kudos.
Yeah,
Did
it also-
Did you get the kudos?
Yeah, I got a lot.
Well, yeah, most
This
kudos
guy
ever.
got the most though. I got like 100. He got like 1,000.
1,000 kudos on a. I mean, when I saw your unactive Strava account, I was a little suspicious because 50,000 followers on an app that I never even heard of. I was like, what are these bots? Did he buy Strava followers? And then you explained to me, you're like, no, I had people showing up and, like showing up at my runs. But yeah, it gamifies running.
And it's wonderful. It's a fantastic platform.
If I
I'm going to
don't-
start using it again.
You should get back
Yeah,
on there
I
because
gotta get
I
back
would
on
love to see
You could
your progress.
You could hide the beginning and end.
It doesn't, it's not.
You could hide it by a mile.
Yes,
So
yeah.
it's not enough. They'll catch you. The city's too small.
It's just weird.
It's
You're so vulnerable when you run. You know what I mean?
especially
I
at
run
public.
I run at 5 in the. I run when it's pitch black out. I wear huge headphones. I get into my books on tape. Like if you ever wanted to murder me, the greatest time for you to murder me is on my runs.
5 a.m. West
Remember
Side
that,
Highway.
folks.
5 a.m. West Side Highway. You'll find them. You want to get them.
Yeah.
There
You
you
gotta
go.
just wear one of those Pusheisty masks
You know what's kind of.
as you run. You know.
You know what's kind of wild.
So
people
Foozy
can
tube
see you.
mask?
Yeah, they call it a pusha. It's like it looks like a. I guess it's like a rob. It's like Pusheisty is like a rapper, but they banned it in Philadelphia because of all the robberies.
That's what everybody's wearing.
So yeah, it's like a ski mask, like old school, but it's called Pusheisty mask. So you just gotta wear or a gator mask. Remember those?
You know what's wild? Not to get into politics, but when I moved back to New York after living in LA for 3 years, and I went out for my first run at like 5:30 in the morning, I saw like a young woman running by herself.
Yeah.
And my instincts were to like stay far enough behind her so she knows I'm not any sort of threat, but to make sure she gets home safely. And then I remembered like I'm not in LA anymore.
Yeah.
And in New York, you can actually go out and run safely and be
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
LA is I've been running in New York City for 20 years without incident, and I had 3 life-threatening incidences on my runs in LA.
Yeah, and you can't just run away from these guys.
I mean,
They have a good pace.
Every
Sign them up for the
like,
marathon.
I had like a homeless guy on Santa Monica on the walk where I had like nothing but short shorts on.
Yeah.
Sweaty guy, short shorts, nothing. And this dude threw a water bottle at my head. I could have just kept running, but like my instinct was like turn. I was like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And he just pulls out a box cutter,
Oh, okay.
and I was like, oh fuck.
If they
I was
pull
like-
out a knife, you run. If they pull out a gun, you run at them.
Yeah,
to
sure.
get the gun.
Whatever. If I see a knife, like I don't care. I'm out of there. And like it was just like hands up, but like it was close enough where if I turned, like I don't know, I didn't want to take my eyes off them. And like 2 old, and I mean really old people, like 80-year-olds came up and kind of were like, "You leave him alone. You put that knife away." And I was like, "Thanks, guys. Thanks."
Because
guys."
you're over there gassed out.
No,
You're
just because like I don't know, even like this lunatic
Yeah.
There's something so disarming about octogenarians. Like when you see a really old person in their 80s, you're like, they're not a threat, and they're telling him to go away, and he just like, for whatever reason, just turned and walked away. But like, you know, me, like a dude is all sweaty and jacked up, and I'm just yelled, "What the fuck" at him. He sees me as a threat, and these old people, he didn't see it as a threat. And I was very happy they were there to diffuse it. Because like a dude holding a box cutter is a fucking scary sight.
It sounds like you just wanted to get arrested.
You don't get arrested for that in Los Angeles. That's perfectly legal in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do whatever you want in LA.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
But I'm over it. I'm back out here. I'm looking at apartments.
Are you
tomorrow.
here full time? That's what I was asking you before we were on air.
I just
What's
really
your
like
vibe?
it. I like New York. They're real people with real jobs, different ages. You know, everybody's not just trying to stay young and do things to gain popularity and do whatever to, you know, get there. So I love it here. I have good friends here, family, real friends I grew up with. As I was walking to the marathon, I was seeing cops I went to high school with.
Yeah.
And it's just cool, man. I don't know. I just feel I get depressed in LA, you know?
Yeah.
It's tough.
LA's got its virtues, and like I have a tendency, a bad habit of like talking poorly about Los Angeles because I didn't find my flow there. I didn't find my place there. But I look like my big brother, who's a fantastic filmmaker, super talented guy. He's so happy there, and he's a complicated person. He's not a pushover. My younger brother, who's same thing, super smart kid, he loves LA. I understand why people really like LA. I think it's more about you. But for me, like, I'm never leaving New York. I'm never leaving New York City. I'm going to die in this city. I'm never leaving New York City.
Yeah. And you make your best work here, I think.
I'm just happiest here. I find inspiration here. You could walk me out in front of this building right now and I could find 10 subjects for a video. I got my studio here. I like living in a small apartment with my family. Our apartment's not tiny, but like it's comfortable. But if I live in a house that size anywhere else, they'd be like, "Why are you living in that little place?" It's like, it's nice. We can leave our apartment door open and the kids play with the neighbors' kids, and like it's a sense of community, and we have like a doorman and like we know his name, and my kids can ride their scooter to ballet class, and you know, it's like when you're all stuck together, all 8 million people, it's like you can either war with each other or figure out how to make it work. And I feel like New York City is about 98% making it work and 2% war. And I can live with that. I like that. It makes me happy here.
Are you going to make movies? I mean, I know you're...
All I want to do is make YouTube videos right now. That's all I want to do. And it's a weird place to be because I feel like I'm in a place of extreme privilege where I have financial security, not enough. Like if I don't work, there'd be some concern for my family, but I don't worry about food and I don't worry about rent. And that I worried about food and I worried about rent until about, for the first 35 years of my life. And now I'm at first time in my life in a place where it's like I have some financial security. And when you have that financial security, you get to ask yourself, like, what do I want to do? Professionally, what do I want to do? What makes me happy? And what really makes me happy is like being alone in my office. I take out my garbage. I mop my own floors. I have no assistants. And I like to just obsess over making little stupid YouTube videos. It makes me happier than making feature films. It makes me happier than being on big productions.
Yeah.
I love it. I got a coffee machine the other day. And like it's still in the box because I have this idea about making a video about coffee.
Is it like a Keurig or is it like a fancy
It's really like
espresso
weird.
machine?
Looks like it came out from outer. It looks like like a prop from 2001: Space Odyssey.
Was it really expensive?
I don't know. It was a gift. Just showed up in the mail. But my idea is like I built a coffee machine in my office a year ago for the first time ever. And my video idea is to quantify how much money I've saved by not walking to my favorite coffee shop and getting an $8 cappuccino twice a day.
Such a Casey video.
Yeah, it's like, it's nonsense. It's
so
nonsense.
simple and relatable though.
Yeah, completely. We all deal with this shit, but it's like, I'm looking at that and I just like see all these like interesting visuals and I like picture the camera across the street, which is like how I shoot those shots. Like when I put the camera on a tripod, hit record and then run back across. I leave a $5,000 camera on a tripod in the middle of New York City street rolling. And I pray to God nobody steals it for 20 seconds. I sprint back and then walk calmly by the camera, like the wide shot of me coming out of my office, walking into the coffee shop. Like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
What grown-ass 42-year-old man gets to, like, spend his days doing that and somehow that equals, like, making a living? Like, the fact that I have that opportunity and I know now nothing makes me happier than doing that. That's what I want to do.
That's what comes with age, huh?
Yeah.
You figure out what what you need to pay attention
I don't
to.
think
what
it'll
makes you
last
happy.
forever.
Are you think either you're the most happy right now than you've ever been?
Yeah, I mean, it's for a lot of reasons, but like the family thing is super real. Like all I ever wanted was a family. My upbringing was fine. I don't bitch about it anymore because I think in the grand scheme of things, I had it better than 99% of people on this planet. But I still had I had a tumultuous childhood. I left home when I was 15. I never went back. Like my parents got divorced when I was like at such a growth phase. Like right when I was hitting puberty, my everything goes to shit at home. I ran away. It's like, I had a kid when I was a teenager. Like I was on welfare. Like couldn't afford food. Like all of that is like fucked up. But through all that, all I ever wanted was like a family.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like I have this rule. Like I don't go out after dark. Period. I think 31 days a month. Maybe there's one day every 45 days where I actually go out after dark, because I get home at 6 o'clock. I play with my kids for a couple hours, and we like get them in bed by like 8:30. I go to the gym, which is like in my apartment on the basement for like, an hour. Then it's 9:30. I take a shower, come back, hang out with the wife for an hour. And we're both tired.
And then you got to wake up at 4 a.m. to go run.
Yeah, and then I go into my room. Like we have like a guest room because our kids like to share a room, so we have an extra bedroom. And I sleep separate from my wife because I like to go to bed early, and she likes to watch her TV. And I go to bed and I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. There's nothing I want more than that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go out to dinner with friends. I don't want to grab a drink. I don't want to hang out. I don't want to go to a party. I don't want to go to some like fucking fashion launch party.
Damn, that
I don't
sounds
want to
nice.
do any of that's all I want.
I want to sleep in a different bed than my wife,
I think
future wife.
it's a key to marriage.
Yeah.
And my wife and I have a great relationship, and like it's not a sex thing.
Uh-huh.
It's just like she likes to have the dog in bed with her. She likes to watch, like women have this fucked up thing where they watch these murder docuseries before bed. What does that do to your brain? You don't do that.
Yeah.
And I can't have like I'm falling asleep, honey, and then in the background you're like, and then she slit the throat of her 3 children before her husband came home, and she shot him in the face. It's like turn this fucking shit off.
Straight into nightmares.
Yeah. So no, I go into my bedroom, which is like the kids' playroom. There's like a fish tank in there, and it's filled up with toys, and there's like stuffed animals in the bed, and the bed's this big. I sleep well, and then I wake up at 4:30. I don't have to worry about waking her up. Happy, my coffee, watch the sunrise, go for a run. It's
Figure
the
it out,
dream.
Casey. Yeah, you're an inspiration. I'm really happy, grateful to have you as a friend and inspiration. I'm always looking for people that are in the same field as me, and I can get inspiration from. So yeah, I'm really, really grateful to have you as a friend. You too, Cody. Even though we have our, our rocky times, sometimes I need to give him a couple month suspension, but this guy, me and him, been together since I met you 13, 14, and look at us now. We look like a fucking Olympic team.
Bobsled team. You're the guy in the front of the bobsled. You're the pusher.
Yeah, we've been through a lot. You and me too, Casey. We've been through
it's been a fun road.
Fun
ride.
The whole thing. Did you ever talk about the documentary? Have you?
I just was on Logan's podcast last week and we talked about it a lot, but
that made me real happy because I was like, I got Casey on the podcast next week to Mike, and he's like, oh shit, I'm in New York. I'm gonna get Casey on the podcast. I'm like, you better not fucking put it out before me. So he was like, all right, cool. We'll drop it the next week. But those are my boys too. I'm the third guy on Impulsive once a month.
I love those guys, man.
One episode a month. Yeah, I love them too. Good friends,
good
in the business.
They're good at what they do.
Yeah. Mike, I tell him sometimes that he's one of the better ones in the field, and he's run with that, and he's like the Jay-Z of the podcast game. So you got to humble him sometimes. But I'm happy I found Mike too.
What does Jay-Z mean?
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
He's like the Jay-Z of the podcast game. Yeah. Yeah. So do you not want to? We don't have to put that.
No, the nut of it is like I still haven't released it, and I feel weird about having not released it.
Yeah.
I could if I wanted to put it on my YouTube channel, but like we had distribution opportunities that were really exciting, and they kind of all fell through for circumstantial reasons. I think for me, and I know your relationship with the whole story is very different. There's a movie I made about David Dobrik. It was initially a story about how David really is just this superstar who came from nothing and became this star, and I wanted to tell that story. And then it ended up becoming the story about that article that came out that just torpedoed his career. Mm-hmm. It was difficult for me because I really loved David. I still do. And I did then. And he was a wonderful friend. And the idea of making a video celebrating your friend's success is really exciting. But then when everything goes sideways, I still felt like I don't know, journalistic I don't know. I felt a responsibility to see the movie through, but the story had changed, and the only way I could intellectually approach that honestly was to tell the truth of what was happening. And how I did that was I pulled myself out of the movie completely, and I just asked David the hard questions. I asked you the hard questions. I asked Natalie the hard questions. I tried to understand what happened. This article came out that was like unreal, and the impact of that article is no more evident than what happened with David's YouTube channel and everything else that has happened since then. But I just tried to tell the truth of what transpired. And I know that was the fact that I did that was very challenging for him to confront, which I understand. And like it, had huge impact on our friendship. We don't speak anymore. And I understand that. I expected that, but it makes me feel weird. I've never had a person in my life that I've cared about or known as well as him that has, kind of divorced me like that. Not that I'm a victim. I was the one who chose to make the movie.
Well, same with me. Like, we both like to make positive, silly, like uplifting content. And then when some real shit happens along the way, like my whole thing, I made a documentary similar to your story because it's, they were both going parallel at the same time. And I felt weird about putting it out, I didn't want to show myself like that, but I didn't really have much of a choice, and everybody around me was like, you need to do this in order to like live the rest of your life, to go on, like you got to just
look. And Jeff, you and I spoke every day during that, and I think the real distinction between my position and yours is that you had to tell your story. In addition,
and even with that, I did try to make it the best for him. Like you said, you wanted to not make it seem like it's a hit piece on somebody. But how can you do that without lying about parts of the story that I'm gonna have to live with? And I think from your standpoint, you did the best you could, and I appreciate so much when you kind of like let me know some things, or you're like, this was said in it, and I saw it, I watched it, and I think you did a good job, but it's still somewhat like kind of like you're trying to not ruin somebody, which
I get it. I'd push back at that, which is just like I tried to let David speak for David. I tried to let the journalist who wrote the story speak for her and speak for her story. And I worked hard. I worked my hardest to make sure it wasn't me telling anyone else's story. It was everybody telling the story for themselves. And that includes you. And I think like the hard parts of the movie, the fact that it's not been released, the hardest parts for me are that the victim, this young woman that the story is about, who was assaulted in one of David's videos by Dom, not by David. David was not involved in what transpired, besides making the video that enabled it. I felt an obligation to her, and I feel an obligation to her as the victim. I feel an obligation to you, because you were so honest and forthright with me about what was going on then. I feel an obligation to David, but
and not to say that you like called me on some like or a rat, like I'm gonna backstab this guy or something to talk behind his back. Like he said what he said willingly in an interview, and
I showed it to you. I showed you what the video was.
It would have come out in the movie anyway, so I would have eventually seen it. But at the time, I needed to, you get blinded by these things when you're in this business, and so many things are changing so fast. Like I remember the first time we all did that meet and greet at your place, 268. And it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. It was like at the height of all of our popularity. People are screaming like the Beatles were there, and the buildings were echoing. Like it was, I've never heard New York like that. It was crazy, and you get blinded by those things. And
I will say, like before the darker and more challenging aspects of the narrative aside, the part of the movie that sort of substantiates just how impactful David was as a cultural figure at the absolute apex of his career. What an unbelievable time. And I don't know of another social media star. I mean, you have a Mr. Beast who has certainly eclipsed what anyone else has done before him, but Mr. Beast's content is not so Mr. Beast centric. David was at the center of all the work that he made, and like his work was so brilliant. Problematic, sure, but brilliant. And being along and getting to witness that ride when we went to Miami and had all those supercars. Like the thing here, the thing here in New York City. I accompanied him on a press tour when he was on that show, America's Next Top Something Talent. Like seeing what true celebrity can look like via social media, and that was the original intent of the movie, was just to tell that story solely. But just to witness that and then to have that captured on film, what a fucking wild time.
Yeah, my thing, I was trying to make a skydiving documentary. This is a documentary about me getting my skydiving license. I didn't expect it to be like a life-changing accident and all this shit. But yeah, back to those times. Those were great times.
Fascinating times. And I was a spectator. I wasn't a part of it. You know, even when I was with you guys and I was filming for the documentary, I worked really hard to have David not put me in any of the videos and always to be invisible, because I didn't want to wag the dog. I wanted to stay invisible. So I was just there purely as a spectator, but to witness that was like, holy smokes. I think the movie will see the light of day sometime. I'm not actively hiding it, but I'm definitely using the fact that I haven't found what I feel like is the appropriate or most appropriate venue for distribution, which I don't feel like is my YouTube channel.
Is it done?
It's done.
Is there a chance of continuation?
No, look, whenever that distribution opportunity presents itself.
Would you make it a saga? Go on for
30 years? No, I think that it would, the last minute or two might need a change. Certainly when I finished the movie was when he decided to continue his vlogs, and so much has transpired in his career. But I don't think anything besides like a text card at the end, just like an epilogue card.
Just go into the Snapchat era, or is that not a...
No, I think it would just be something like, this is what happened, in the years following.
The Snapchat OnlyFans era of the Vlog Squad. Yeah. No, man, it was, it's unfortunate the way things happen, but everything happens for a reason. I'm happy where I'm at now. And even back then, I always made sure to prioritize my own content and make sure that what I was doing was real, and I was making sure I knew what I wanted to make. I knew what my own goals were and what I had to do to get there. And
and you and I talked about that a lot then, and I think like some of the weird fallout from that is like, not in a million years when I started that project did I think, 5 years later, that of all those relationships it would be my relationship with you that would maintain and endure. That was a surprise, like the closeness that you and I had during when you were really struggling with your dealing with all of your medical issues, like that intimacy that you and I didn't foresee that happening, and I think that's been like a really special thing. I value our friendship and our relationship a lot. That came out of it. And then just the conversations that you and I had somewhat like endlessly, these conversations about like, what does it mean to be a character? Meaning that you played a character in David's videos. The world knew you as a character, not the real Jeff, but a character of Jeff. I think the world knew David not as the real David, but a character of himself. And I think that was a liability for him. Yeah. When some negative stuff came up, they didn't know how to judge him because they only knew this character version of him. We spoke about that a lot. I still look at Logan Paul, I think, is the ultimate example of this. How do you come back from Logan Paul's fall from grace when he was this goofball vlogger who filmed some bullshit he should have never filmed, who was necessarily canceled around the world, a cancellation which I supported because the shit that he did was so fucked up.
Yeah.
How do you come back from that? What Logan said is, he's like, what's the opposite of a carefully crafted 10-minute vlog where I'm a cartoon character wearing a Toy Story hat? And he said, let me just put a camera on me for 3 hours.
Yeah, podcast.
Try be a character. Try being a character. Try not being true when you're sitting in an environment like this. And I think that's what you did with your series. I think that's what Logan did masterfully with his podcast. You can't hide when you're sitting talking with people who know and trust you.
People will see through your bullshit.
They'll see through your
bullshit. If you're being fake on a
second.
podcast, they'll see
It's impossible. It's why Joe Rogan is Joe Rogan. Because he's just himself. You can hate him, you can like him, but he's just himself, and he's very good at being himself. And I think Logan found his calling there. I think your video series that you put out about your relationship with David and your injury and that whole incident. I mean, I was looking at the edits you were doing, and I saw you turn the dial towards realness and being honest and being vulnerable. And I think that that's where we are now. And I think that in the world of social media, I think what people relate to is truthfulness, is honesty, is integrity, and people can choose to not like what they see, but people appreciate knowing who they're dealing with.
Absolutely. Yeah. Fucking podcast. It wasn't something that I thought I'd be doing. My Jeff FM set started sort of in that Frenemies interview. That was the debut of it. They're like, are you starting a podcast? And that's how I got my podcast agency to give me brand deals, was off that. The worst moment ever. My worst interview ever. All Xanaxed out, hanging out, and I'm just like, that was not my best work, but everything happens for a reason, and we're here, we're fucking still going, and I'm motivated by all of this. You want to exile me, cool, I'll just keep going. Like you said with the Beatles, I saw a lot of us in that when they split up. Not to compare ourselves to the Beatles. I'm not like, you know, John Lennon got in trouble when he compared the Beatles to Jesus. He said we're bigger than Jesus. They got canceled back then before there was even cancel culture. But no, just like the similarities of like them trying to get the band back together because the whole world wanted them back together.
Sure.
You know, Paul is sort of like the David in that situation. You know, I don't know which one I would be. Probably John. He was one of the cooler ones, you know, so I'd probably be John. He was killed, you know.
Who's Yoko?
Yoko would be, well, I would be dating. So I guess I'd be Paul then, you know? Or I don't know. No, because Paul was the main, right? He was the biggest. George Harrison. I'm not Ringo. That'd be...
George Harrison might be like Ilya, just like the guy who's like a square, like solid, technically capable, super unproblematic.
Yeah. Then maybe I'd be like a competitor. Maybe I'd be like one of the Rolling Stones.
Ringo's kind of, yeah, I don't know who Ringo would be.
Yeah, but I watched that documentary.
So
yeah,
good.
you don't want to go in on insulting somebody by saying,
I pulled back. I don't know who's Ringo.
yeah, Jonah. No,
Jonah could be Ringo.
He always made me laugh when we started filming together. I was like, this is the guy. I want to bring him onto my show, and like this is the duo right here. You know, like me and Todd at the time, people thought that was the duo, but really that was my guy to lean on. You know, but I got a replacement of him that's solid. Steven, I love you. You're my boy, and I got your back for life. But he can't be here today because, you know, he wasn't here for the marathon. He doesn't not doing
this
a
is
marathon.
marathon
yeah.
only pod right now.
Yeah, but yeah. Speaking of the Beatles, so in that documentary they put out on HBO, they had that meeting where they finally wanted to get all back together, and John brought Yoko to that meeting. He brought his girlfriend into it, and they were all like, "Yo, we wanted to have a talk as boys. We've been together since day one." They started in their teens, you know, in Liverpool, and now after all their success, they tried one last time to have a talk. And she ruined it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, look, the Beatles story is one that I like to follow, and the Yoko part.
Yeah.
I just don't see her as a force for good in the Beatles.
Yeah.
I see her as a distraction.
Women, Cody.
Take it easy. I mean, I wouldn't go that far.
What about women?
I want to see if I can get something out of him. I want to get him going.
Well, I think not just women in general. I think relationships.
Yeah.
Guy, woman, girl, because it
It
depends.
complicates things.
It depends what part of like your life you're at. You might not be at the same setting. Like, you know, I don't know the right wording, but it's a lot harder for men because men need to build themselves up to a foundation.
Yeah.
When a woman could just have this beauty or this personality that they could just walk into a successful older guy's life.
Yeah.
You know, my wife and I had a podcast that was very successful.
Yeah, so.
And everybody's like, why don't you start the podcast back up again? And I was like, including my wife, the impact that had on our marriage was so damaging and gnarly that I was like, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah.
Like, I need a total separation of church and state.
Yeah, a little
in
bit of
marriage.
I don't know. It's just like it's America. Everybody's on their second marriage.
Well, I mean, some people last. You know, my parents
Yeah.
been together 40 years. They made it.
It's hard because social media, you know, it opens up all like this facade of like, oh, I could get better, or this is what my life should be like.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, I don't want this. I'm not happy. And then, you know, then they try to go find what they see, what they idolize off of something of a story that was painted. And
What is
Yeah.
it? Jealousy is the thief of joy? Something like that.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's complicated.
You know, we got the wife and I this December, January, I don't know what our anniversary date is, but 10 years.
Damn.
7 years is like the most, like if you can make it to 7 years, you beat the odds statistically.
Oh, okay.
Meaning that like we did it. Like if we were to split up now, the marriage would still technically be considered a success. We pull the numbers up. We're pulling the stats up. She and I are carrying the burden of the high divorce rate on our shoulders.
And you guys met here in New York?
Yeah.
That's it. Inspiring. I got to find my
New York
wife
City
out
girls
here.
are the best. They don't give a shit. They don't wear makeup. They don't care about you. They got
No.
their pajamas on at like the coffee shop.
They got
at, like,
jobs.
10:30. They're busy.
Nurses.
They don't have time
and-
for you. They're busy.
Yeah,
They're doing
yeah.
real things.
Uh-huh.
Like, you know what's not cool in New York? Lip fillers.
Yeah.
Nobody has them.
Yeah.
I'm busy running marathons.
That's
I
right.
don't have time for relationships.
Yeah.
I'm
Focus on
training
yourself.
all year round.
Or find a girl that does marathons.
Yeah, that's it. I was actually running the marathon yesterday. I was like, man, I got to get a fitness girl.
Yeah.
Somebody that could be faster than me so she could just slap me in my face and then run away, and then I could try to chase her down.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
So I could get better.
Yeah. It's funny. My wife is not. My wife, she's very healthy. She's very fit, but she's not a runner.
Most people are not. It's
Most
hard.
people are not.
It's a full body movement.
It's a lot.
It
It's
sucks,
punishing.
to be honest. I love it because, like you said, I think it's the cure for everything. It's preventative. Like, it keeps your heart strong.
Good
It
for your
keeps
mental health.
it cleans out your veins. You feel good. Your mental health. I'm gonna run for the rest of my life.
There it is. I gotta go.
Yeah, same. We have to wrap it up. Casey, thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
And we'll be neighbors now. You know,
Love to have you back.
I'm
in the
excited
city,
for the
man.
next chapter. We got a year to train. I hope you take it serious because I'm not fucking playing games next year.
Congrats on the marathon. Congrats on the marathon.
Anything you want to say to people, motivate them to start running?
Get a running coach.
Just call Jeff. Phil, I'm sorry for calling you out, but I would love for you to run the marathon.
Just start. Doesn't matter how fast. Just go.
That's
really,
what I do. When people say, where do I start? It's like,
Just go really,
Go
really
run for 15
slow.
minutes, see what you can do.
Set a goal and just tell yourself you can't stop till you get to that goal. And then you build that goal up little by little. And then you'll be there. You'll be banging out the New York City Marathon. You'll be the happiest you ever were in your life with no drugs, no substances. And yeah, do it. All right. Thank you, Casey Neistat. And Evil Cody.
Got himself a barber's chair and gave awesome cuts. Now he's a podcaster. His life, he'll talk about it with us. And now it's Jeff FM. Jeff